Hey everybody, what is going on? Maxx here with another Master Duel video for you. Coming back to a deck that I really like that I haven't gotten to touch on in longer than I would have liked, and that is going to be Live Twin. I think when it comes to control decks and just as far as decks like theming in general, Live Twin is definitely one of my favorites. I very much like this deck, and yeah, I don't think it is too bad of a choice here in this meta. Even with Sky Striker getting their third Widow Anchor, I honestly think that Live Twin tends to be the more consistently solid control deck between the two. You know, if you're looking for like a link-based control deck in particular, one that's not necessarily using like stun or floodgate type effects, but one that is using disruption in order to kind of like destroy or interrupt our opponent's plays, and then just accruing advantage and then winning that way. I very much like the playstyle in that regard, and Live Twins are one of those decks that can jam a lot of disruption in themselves, because a lot of their, not even a lot of, just in fact the vast majority, if not all of their combos are like one card combo, you know, as long as you normal summon one of the Live Twins, Ki-Sikil or Lil-La, which you can search with the Sunny's Snitch, or the Live Twin Home, both of which you can search with the secret password, then you are able to, you know, get your plays off, basically go into the Evil Twins, Ki-Sikil and Lil-La, and then get the Trouble Sunny, which can then go into the Ki-Sikil and Lil-La during your turn, drawing you multiple cards with the Ki-Sikil, and then destroying cards with the Lil-La as well. That's, of course, just the base game line plan. We've got, of course, like I mentioned, the backup of all these disruption cards as well. Extra Deck also does have some other minor options we can potentially go into, like the Zeus, starting with the Sky Cavalry Centaurea. Since the Live Twins are level 2, you can just go into the Centaurea, battle with it, then go into the Downerd main phase 2, and then go into the Zeus. So the deck does have access to that, as well as some Link 4s here, such as, well, in particular, a Link 4 Unchained Abomination. I've got the Knightmare Unicorn in here, but I think I am missing an access code talker. I put in an Underworld Goddess, which you can get because, you know, we've got the 2 Link 2s instead. I think I might end up cutting a Lil-La. This deck often plays 3 Ki-Sikil and 2 Lil-La, because Ki-Sikil is your, you know, Ki-Sikil, this one here, is more often your turn 1 play, because, you know, on turn 1 your opponent doesn't have cards to destroy with Lil-La, so you go into Ki-Sikil first so you can bring her back to draw a card. For that reason, a lot of decks play 2 Lil-La. I think I might have to cut one for an access code, because, yeah, the Knightmare Unicorn without the access code doesn't make too much sense here, so. The Unchained Abomination is kind of a staple Link for this particular deck. I don't bring it out too often, but when you can bring it out, it's pretty nice, and provides a lot of further disruption as well. You can, of course, use your Lil-La to destroy a card and then get further destruction with the Unchained Abomination as well. So, yeah, as far as like the build itself, is not really like too much we've got going on that's like out of the ordinary here. Like I said, a lot of disruption, 2 effective AOR3 Maxx, the Ghost Ogres, I've got 1 Ghost Belle, a Nibiru. We are playing one of the Evil Twins, Ki-Sikil and Lil-La, the main deck monster, to of course get with Trouble Sunny's effect there. I'm playing 1 Evil Twin Challenge. I pretty much included this just because I had some extra. Well, I included this in the second Live Twin Home because honestly, this is one of the few times where I built a deck and I had like 38 cards, and I was like, oh, I actually need to find 2 more cards to put in this deck. And I thought about putting in some more disruption, but I was like, I don't want to bog our deck down with too much of that. I think the amount that we've got here is nice, and yeah, I wanted some more possible combo starters / extenders, so I opted for the second Live Twin Home. This is not only nice as an additional combo starter, but if you're, for example, your Ki-Sikil or your Lil-La gets Ash Blossomed or something, you can follow up with a Live Twin Home to get another monster in play anyway. And then Evil Twin Challenge is a not too bad of a catch-up card if it's needed. It's not often needed, honestly. Usually games you lose, you kind of just get blown out. You're not able to start your combo anyway, but if you are playing a prolonged game and you end up getting behind, this can be a decent catch-up card to bring you know, one of your monsters back. You don't often get the immediately Link Summon effect, but there are some very niche situations where you could use that to go into a Trouble Sunny on your opponent's turn, potentially, or maybe even like an Underworld Goddess or something. Well, no, you have to Evil Summon, jeez, you have to Link Summon an Evil Twin monster, so it would have to be a Trouble Sunny, or Ki-Sikil or Lil-La, but most often a Trouble Sunny, so in any case, I do again just like it as a potential slight comeback card if it's needed, which is often not, but In any case, yeah, that's going to go ahead and cover everything I wanted to talk about the list itself. So let's go ahead and break it down card by card, as always, and then we'll take a look at some gameplay. We're playing 2 Effect Veiler, 3 Maxx, 3 Live Twin Ki-Sikil, 3 Live Twin Lil-La, 1 Live Twin Lil-La Treat, 1 Live Twin Ki-Sikil Frost, 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Ghost Belle and Haunted Mansion, 1 Evil Twins, Ki-Sikil and Lil-La, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 3 Secret Password, 3 Live Twins Sunny's Snitch, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 3 Forbidden Droplet. Very good in this deck, by the way. This is definitely a deck that can get away with running 3 Droplet, and you should be running 3 Droplet for shenanigans by sending either your Lil-La or Ki-Sikil and then bringing it back with the other. One other thing I did want to touch on with the deck there. We're also playing 2 Live Twin Home, 3 Infinite Impermanence, and then 1 Evil Twin Challenge. That's going to be the main deck. Extra deck is going to be 1 Sky Cavalry Centaurea, 1 Downerd Magician, 1 Divine Arsenal AA-ZEUS Sky Thunder, 3 Evil Twin Ki-Sikil, 3 Evil Twin Lil-La, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, 1 Unchained Abomination, 3 Evil Twins Trouble Sunny, and then 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Again, I think in moving forward, I will end up taking a Lil-La out and probably including an access code talker. But that's going to go ahead and round out the deck there. Now let's go and take a look at these games. Alright, so our first duel here is going to be against Sky Strikers, so it's kind of like a control v control matchup. Definitely love to see it. I don't know, I like these matchups anyway. Alright, looking at our hand here, we've got the first turn. So we've got the Sunny Snitch and the Home. The multiple Forbidden Droplets on turn 1 is a little awkward, but not too bad. Opponent's going to Ash Blossom the Sunny Snitch, which I personally think is a misplay. I think you should wait until they get your opponent gets either the Ki-Sikil or the Lil-La out and activates that effect. Ideally, you know, after they've used their normal summon. That is often the best way to get them with the Ash Blossom. Now here they've got a Maxx, but we have got an Ash Blossom of our own, so that's not going to be too much of an issue there. And yeah, we've only got the 1 Forbidden Droplet in our hand left now, but our opponent's only going to end up starting with 4 cards after they draw for turn. And now we have pretty much unfettered access to our combos here. So I like getting the Ki-Sikil Frost with the Lil-La. That's my ideal turn 1 setup because then you can set up the Lil-La Frost in the graveyard, or the Ki-Sikil Frost in the graveyard to draw a card whenever your opponent draws or searches by a card effect on their turn. Going for the Evil Twin Ki-Sikil first, so that way we can bring her back with the Lil-La to draw a card. If we did it the other way, we'd be bringing back the Lil-La with the Ki-Sikil, and we don't have a card for our opponent to destroy right now, so Lil-La would pretty much get no effect. So we'll get our draw there, Ghost Belle, nice to have another form of disruption, before going into the Trouble Sunny, which will allow us to go into the Ki-Sikil and Lil-La on the opponent's turn to draw a card and destroy a card. This is an extremely standard turn 1 setup with the Live Twins, and one we very much like to see here. So opponent's going to go Ray into Hayate. I'm totally fine with this. I will end up stopping the Hayate here. I'm going to end up trying to pop it with the Lil-La as my plan. I'll chain block this way so that way the Lil-La can't be responded to as easily. Now the opponent is going to have a Widow Anchor, which can destroy, or not destroy, but negate my Lil-La. However, by using the Forbidden Droplet to send the Lil-La, now it's no longer on the field for the Widow Anchor to negate. We'll end up destroying the Hayate here, and then, yeah, we can just bring the Lil-La back with the Ki-Sikil and then go into the Trouble Sunny during the next turn. I was also planning on negating the opponent's Ray with the Ghost Belle, and they were planning on bringing that back. So that would have left our opponent with, I think they had just 1 or 2 other cards left in hand, and we don't have as many resources ourselves, but again, we have the Evil Twins, Ki-Sikil, and Lil-La going into the Trouble Sunny. As long as we can keep tagging between the two like that, we can deal a lot of damage, with Trouble Sunny having 3,300 attack points, actually the strongest link for a monster, and then getting extra draws with our Ki-Sikil there to make sure that we stay ahead of our opponent with advantage, and of course the Lil-La's destruction keeping them down as well. That's very much a textbook game of how you want a Live Twin game to go. Pretty by the books there. You know, their opponent had disruption, we had ways to counter their disruption, we had disruption of our own, in the forms of not only our tech, you know, hand trap and disruption cards, but also the inherent way that the Evil Twin monsters play out themselves. So yeah, very nice, solid game against our opponent here, whose name I just now realized, just now looked at the screen. Sometimes I like my eyes wander when I ramble. But anyway, speaking of rambling, I'm gonna stop that and move on to the next game. Okay, so we've got our next game here is gonna be against Sword Soul Timmy. That's interestingly taking a couple of Pankratops as well. Still haven't crafted any of those yet. I don't know, there just haven't been too many decks I've been interested in playing them. Even after I went to 2 from 1, I was like, no. I didn't really play 1 ever, so I don't really see why to play a second card, or a second copy of that card. In any case here, this is a pretty good going second hand. We got the Veiler C and Nibiru, but we did at least open a couple of Sunny Snitches, mainly at least one Sunny Snitch, so... this Maxx is really going to hurt, though. That is one weakness this deck has. It's very susceptible to particularly Maxx and Ash Blossom. This deck can't really make plays without giving your opponent a ton of draws. Even going into... Well, we can't go into Zeus here because it's turn 1, so we can't battle. And then if your opponent resolves an Ash Blossom, there's just a lot of points where you can get ashed, and then if you don't have a follow-up or like a call by or a crossout or something, then it's rough, then you just can't do much. So that is a weakness of Live Twin. I am just going to pass here, not giving my opponent any draws off their Maxx. They'll end up setting a bunch of cards and passing, which is interesting knowing now that they're Sword Souls. I don't know that I actually knew what my opponent was playing. I don't know at any point during this match, because I guess our opponent just didn't have that great of a draw. I saw a bunch of back rows and assumed it was going to be like Eldelich or some kind of like control deck. I don't think that's a far-reaching assumption. I thought maybe it might even be Sky Strikers just because of their sleeves there. And I think, okay, maybe they just didn't draw like a Ray or any of the live normal spells. Maybe they just set like a Shark Cannon, a Widow Anchor, and like, I don't know, like an Imperm or a Call By or something maybe. But in any case here, opponent's going to fire off another Maxx during my turn. Now, when I saw this second Maxx getting activated, I thought to myself, I didn't give my opponent any draws off that first Maxx. They set 3 cards and then pass. I draw, and they immediately fire off their second Maxx. That, to me, is a move of desperation, honestly. That's what I read from that. So I'm, once again, even though now it's turn 3, and I can attack, and as a result, I could potentially go for a lot of plays that would do a lot of damage, or put like a Zeus out or something by giving my opponent a few draws. Again, that to me is a sign of desperation, the way they fired off that Maxx there. I don't think it's always is, but I think in this particular situation, given that they didn't get anything off the last C, set a bunch of cards and passed without doing anything else, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm actually just not going to give them any draws off this Maxx either. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this Ki-Sikil Frost to attack mode. Oh, I'll play a Sunny Snitch first. Getting a live twin Ki-Sikil. Now I'll switch this Frost to attack mode. I'm just going to enter battle phase and hit him for 1,000 and pass at this point. If our opponent does end up having plays, I've still got Veiler and C and Nibiru. I've got a couple of live twins in my hand for follow-up plays as well. So, yeah, I'm not feeling too scared, especially as my opponent then goes to the end phase again here without doing much. Now, at this point, like I said, I still don't know what I'm playing against. I don't know. Again, I don't think I knew at any point during this match I was actually playing against Sword Souls. I still thought there was a decent possibility I was playing against like Eldritch or against some kind of like control or stun / floodgate deck. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, rather than go for my typical like Sunny Stitch combo, I think I'm actually going to use what I've got on board to try to go for a Zeus and threaten to blow up these back rows before then maybe making some other plays a little bit later down the line. I think that getting rid of these cards that my opponent's got, knowing that our opponent doesn't have anything else they're able to do at this point, is a pretty smart move, in my opinion. So, yeah, as I move to main phase 1, I'm just going to go ahead and overlays into the Centaurea. Most of the time, you do end up, even on, like, beyond going first on turn 1, you do just end up going for your Sunny Stitch combo anyway, but there are situations like this where I like having access to the Zeus here. So yeah, stacking the Downerd on top of the Centaurea, and then of course we'll throw the Zeus on top of that, giving Zeus a total of 4 materials. Now, I'm not going to shotgun the Zeus here, I'm going to end up just passing back to my opponent. And mainly what I'm thinking here, the reason of that is like, okay, if our opponent is playing a back row or a floodgate-based deck, then I've kind of put them in a situation where they can't really set any more back rows without losing them during the end phase to Zeus. Now, if I had just used Zeus's effect during my turn, detached 2 materials, and popped our opponent's back row, let's say that would have gone right and they would all have been destroyed anyway. If my opponent is playing a back row or floodgate-based deck, they could just set more here, and then yeah, I could use Zeus during the end phase, but then I've got a Zeus with 0 materials. given that our opponent hasn't used any of these floodgates yet to stop anything we've done, or floodgates, back rows yet to stop anything we've been doing, I'm not super duper scared of them at the moment. So I'm willing to pass with the Zeus at 4 materials to, again, just give my opponent the opportunity to maybe set another back row. Then I can Zeus during the end phase, getting not only that back row, but the other 3, and then I'll still have 2 materials left on my Zeus for another destruction there, is what I'm thinking, why I did not use Zeus during my turn. Gonna pass the opponent, and then they end up conceding. So yeah, like I said, yeah, I didn't think there was any point where we actually saw what our opponent was playing. That's why I was like, I even remember when I was looking at the, looking at the opponent's deck, I was like, I don't remember playing against Sword Solo during this game, but yeah, it's because again we didn't see exactly what they were up to. So this is another way in which control games often just win, right? Is by inevitability. This Zeus provided inevitability for the opponent's board, and given how poor our opponent's draws were, it was just inevitable that over time, with how many cards we have in hand, how many resources we have access to, that we were just going to end up coming out on top. So the opponent just decided to concede early and avoid dragging that out and then just give us the win here. So yeah, and not just Yu-Gi-Oh! Here, but a lot of different card games. That's often how control wins. It's control's main win condition is just, again, that sense of inevitability. The Sunny Cinch into the Ki-Sikil and Lil-La, that going off every turn is also a sense of inevitability in and of its own right. We're dooming our opponent to continuously be put further behind on advantage as we destroy their cards and draw cards with each one of those cycles going through. So another kind of textbook way in which live twins here like to win. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next game now. Alright, this next duel is going to be against Altergeist, which I haven't seen in a minute. I think in the Link event I saw it maybe once or twice, but outside of that, I never did end up going back to that deck after Multifigure went to 2, did I? I've played that deck a long time ago, but it's definitely been quite a while since I've played it there. It's another control-based deck like Sky Striker and, of course, Live Twin here, but I think even of those decks, it's I tend to like the other 2 more than Altergeist. Yeah, so here we have the Ash Blossom being used against the Lil-La here. I do have a Live Twin home as well. I end up throwing out the Feather Duster, kind of hedging by discarding it. I figure the Nibiru... I thought about discarding the Nibiru instead, but I thought, if our opponent answers our board and then goes off, I'd rather have the Nibiru, of course, than the Feather Duster. And it's more... I think it's slightly more likely for that to be the case than for me to be playing, 1, against a back row based deck, and 2, to be in a situation where I need the Feather Duster, even if I am playing against a back row based deck, because I know I can start popping my opponent's back rows with the Lil-La, even starting during the opponent's end phase there. So now, of course, I do actually end up playing as Altergeist, which of course is a back row based deck, and I end up kind of, very slightly regretting throwing out my Feather Duster as opposed to the Nibiru there. But again, I don't think it was incorrect to hedge in that regard, not knowing what our opponent was playing there. They'll start with a 1/4 discarding the Steel Quidus. I know at this point, of course, they're playing Altergeist. Love having the Ash Blossom against effects like 1/1, or Synapse Mining, or the Melody of Awakening Dragon. Any of these Ashable cards that require a discard in order to activate is very, very nice, because that means it's kind of like a 2-for-1. It's not even just kind of, it is a 2-for-1, right? Our opponent's spending 2 cards to get their effect negated by our 1 card. So it definitely puts us further ahead on advantage there. Now, opponent's got this Relinquished Anima, which I'm a little bit annoyed by. It's going to force me to use a Trouble Sunny a little earlier than I thought, or than I wanted to, or so I thought, until I got the Frost here, and ended up top taking an Effect Veiler. Very lucky for me. Now I can use this Veiler to negate the Anima, making it pose no threat whatsoever, and now I can go with my original plan of just using Lil-La to destroy a face-down card during the end phase here. So, yep, during the end phase, I'll activate the Trouble Sunny effect, being Lil-La and Ki-Sikil. I'll Chain Block with Lil-La as Chain Link 1, because I want that effect to resolve more. I don't think our opponent's last card is going to be effect negation anyway, but, better to play safe than not, so I'll use the Lil-La to pop. Would actually end up being a pretty good pop, which is the Altergeist Manifestation. Would have allowed them to get their Steel Quidus out, and then also the Multi-Faker, and then would be able to bounce, and it just would have been messy. So nice that we hit that. Don't know what the other back row is, because our opponent ended up surrendering at that point. But yeah, again, just that sense of inevitability, right? Like, we'd already put our opponent far enough behind during that first couple of exchanges, and now we've got a situation set up where we can just continuously go into Trouble Sunny, then go back into the Evil Twins, pop our opponent's stuff, draw cards, gain advantage, etc., etc. How we like to win, how this deck pretty much always wins. So, yeah, GG's there. Let's go and take a look at the next game. Alright, this duel is going to be against Dragon Maids. It's been a while since I've played with or against this deck. I think I've played against it relatively recently. in the form of Branded Dragon Maid, which I think I can actually build, because I got the Dragon Maid structures and I have branded stuff, so I might look into that. Branded Dragon Maid. Let me know if that's a deck you want to see in the comments below. I'll definitely take a look at that. Alright, so starting off with the Trouble Sunny. You'll note that I actually searched, I think I searched the Ki-Sikil Frost here, right? Yeah, I searched the Ki-Sikil Frost here, which honestly, I kind of didn't want to do because I felt it was telegraphing my play a little bit too much. Like, if I'm searching for that and then normal summon the Lil-La, then I would think it should be obvious that it's fine if my Lil-La gets stopped because then I can just special the Frost. So, you know, when I did that, I thought to myself, our opponent could easily hold Ash Blossom and then just screw us over with it later. Same with like a Veiler or an Imperm. But then the opponent just decided to drop an Ash Blossom on the Lil-La anyway. I don't know, there's like arguments for or against it. Obviously, I'm more biased in my opinion because I know what not only I have in hand, but what my thought process is. So I don't think it was right to Ash here, given again that I telegraphed the Frost by searching it. But again, you could make an argument that maybe I could be going for a more extensive play by getting a Ki-Sikil from deck and then also specialing the Frost. That is how you set up a Scythe block if you wanted to play Scythe in this deck, is you have to have one extender on top of your regular one-card combo there, so. But in any case, yeah, our opponent's going to toss out this Ash Blossom. That is A-okay with me. I am not concerned about that because, again, I already searched the Ki-Sikil Frost, and yeah, I think it was wise to search it there. Obviously, given that we already had the Lil-La in hand, we don't need another extender for a turn 1, and we can certainly get more extenders relatively easily later, just through our sheer amount of draws, so. And again, if all goes according to plan, we don't need more extenders anyway, because we're just going to cycle this Trouble Sunny into the Evil Twins, and then vice versa, add, you know, repeat as needed. Our opponent is going to end up having a Call by the Grave for our Ash Blossom here, so yeah, that's a little annoying, but especially given that it was a 6-card Prosperity and not a 3-card Prosperity. So I'm wondering if this is going to be like Flonderies, but I know it doesn't end up being Dragon Maid like we said there. And they go with the Lightning Storm, which makes sense given just the amount of back rows I have. It's a little scary, but I'm not super duper concerned by it. This Ash Blossom is like a pretty mid-draw given that we already used one here. Opponent is going to activate the Dino Wrestler effect. Of course, I can just change Trouble Sunny. Oh, I will say one thing in particular, right? Our opponent used Call By earlier, and they used it against the Ash Blossom for the Prosperity. Now, I'm just thinking, like, obviously I don't know what's in the rest of my opponent's hand, but I don't know that that was the best use of Call By, given that I had a face-up Trouble Sunny on my board, and Call By on Trouble Sunny is devastating. That completely shuts down your combo right then and there, so I think it might have been best to even just let that Prosperity get negated, because I mean, I said out loud, like, oh, thank God, when my opponent activated Call By on my Ash Blossom, and I said that because then I knew it wasn't going to be used against my Trouble Sunny, and I even wondered here when I activated Trouble Sunny in response to Pancratops, like, do they just have a second copy? Because I feel like they activated that first copy pretty loosely against the Ash Blossom, but no, they don't, so, and the opponent's just going to concede at that point, so, yeah, I think in this scenario, it definitely would have been better to, now, granted, I would have still had the back rows, which was, what, Droplet and Imperm, which is, you know, decent disruption, but that obviously wouldn't have been able to stop the Call By there. Now, and again, also I will say that I did have the Trouble Sunny in my hand, so I would have had a follow-up play anyway, but, you know, the opponent didn't know that, and I think in a vacuum there, you should be saving the Call By for the Trouble Sunny, if at all possible. Now, there are still some scenarios where you'll want to Call By your opponent's, you know, disruption card when you're playing against Live Twin, like if it's an Ash or a Maxx or something, but if possible, I do recommend saving the Call By for Trouble Sunny specifically, as that is a very devastating blow to the Live Twin player. We've got one more game. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. And this last duel is going to be against, of course, Branded Despia. Well, I say of course, but we actually haven't played against it yet this video, so. Well, we played against Branded, that other Branded deck, but it wasn't quite Branded Despia. We're taking the second turn here. We've got a couple forms of disruption, the Ghost Ogre and the Impermanent. Thank God our opponent's only got one face down card before just passing back to us. I am a little weary of our opponent having disruption in their hand as a result, because oftentimes if your opponent just sets one card and passes, that's usually not like a, you know, slow or, you know, control or floodgate deck. It's more often just a a regular, quote-unquote, regular deck that opened a lot of floodgates, or not floodgates, hand traps, like Maxx, Ash Blossom, Valor, Imperm, all that fun stuff. So you have to be mindful of that. Opponent did have the Maxx here, but we fortunately had the call by, so we can just go ahead and negate that. Go into our usual plays here, starting with the Ki-Sikil. Even though our opponent does have a card to destroy with the Lil-La, I think I still want to start with the Ki-Sikil because I don't think it's super duper important to blow up this one back row, and I'd rather have a draw to get some more advantage on our opponent, given that they didn't have, or seemed to have, a particularly live hand. Now, they did end up ciphering us, so that is a little bit annoying, but this is definitely a scenario where the Evil Twin challenge is going to come in handy. Now, they start with a, okay, my opponent normal summons the Despian Tragedy, attacks, and passes here. I see this as an immediate red flag for Super Polymerization. I'm like, that's gotta be what this face down card is. As soon as they go to end phase, I'm like, that face down card is Super Polymerization. I know for a fact that face down card is Super Poly. Because there's no other reason I can think of why you would normal summon Tragedy, attack with it, and pass here. Like, why wouldn't you just set it at that point? The 400 damage is worth it, and it's a pretty clear telegraph for like, hey, attack me, because they're not going to get the Surge with that destroyed by battle. It has to be sent by a card effect. Now, I did throw Imperm down in this column specifically to potentially negate this back row, and I'm very, very glad I did at this point because this will still work against Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization says that you can't activate card or effects in response to this card's activation. It does not anywhere in its text say that it cannot be negated, so if you negate it preemptively, you can still stop a Super Polymerization from resolving. And that is exactly what I'm going to do here. And again, as soon as I saw this Tragedy come down, I was like, this is Super Poly. That's Super Poly. I know that's what it is. That's what it has to be. And also just given how eagerly our opponent summoned it and then battled, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. It's anything but that. So yeah, I'll flip up the Imperm. Obviously, I don't really care about negating the Tragedy. I'm more concerned about negating the face down card. I'll normal summon the Ki-Sikil, go for the Lil-La treat here, and I'm sure my opponent thought they were being so clever by flipping the Super Poly. They're like, ooh, I get to go for Proskinian. You do not get to go for Proskinian, however, you get to have your card negated, and your dramaturge go to the graveyard for no reason. So, nanny boo boo, haha. Now, RoniMan24, if you're watching, it's an understandable thing to be confused about, because, like, you would think, you know, it's easy for this clause on Super Poly to just read it as like, oh, this card can't be stopped, but like it does pay to like parse the card text. The card can't be activated, can't have effects activated in response to it, but it can still be negated. Now, if the card had said this card cannot be negated, then it should have still definitely resolved there, but not quite how the card is worded. So it does feel like sometimes you have to be like an actual lawyer to parse Yu-Gi-Oh card text with the, you know, if versus when, and then do this, or like, does this effect activate simultaneously, you know, can't be negated versus can't have the activation responded to, etc., etc. So that's going to secure the game for us there. We even got that extra Unchained Abomination thanks to the Live Twin, or Evil Twin challenge that we had face down. So that's going to do it for the duels. Let's go ahead and move now to the outro. Alright everybody, thank you very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. I very much appreciate that, not just personally, but as a means of supporting the channel. Other good ways to support the channel are to comment and or subscribe. Comments, love to see them, would love to see, as always, your take on the build and or the games. If you have any suggestions for either, I am definitely all open to hear it. I love to get the feedback there. This is my favorite part of the channel, actually, honestly, is getting the feedback from the comments and then using that to improve my decks and gameplay as a result, for all of us too. And then, of course, yeah, subscribing, like I said, a great way to support the channel, and will also get you notified of when these videos drop, which does happen every single day, so you do have daily Master Duel content to look forward to when you subscribe. But that's going to do it for today's video, so without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.